deep gunmetal gray body paired with blacked-out wide-body flares and mud-terrain tires stacked nearly to the hood line. This is the truck Ford never saw coming. Nobody builds a factory-level wide-body Silverado. Nobody, until now.
There is one specific decision buried in this truck's suspension geometry, not the lift, not the tires, that no American truck manufacturer has engineered at the factory level in this class. I'll give you the full breakdown before this video ends, but I need you to stay for it, because it only makes sense once you've seen everything else first. And then there's the price question. I'll tell you what I think it's worth, but my answer depends entirely on whether you're putting real miles on this thing or parking it in front of a glass building on the weekend. Those are two different buyers, two different verdicts. We're gonna walk the exterior, go deep on the interior, cover the powertrain, and then I'll give you the origin story on this brief, because this truck did not come out of a standard product planning process. The way this program started will change how you read every design decision you're about to see. Everyone's looking at those wide body flares. I get it, they're impossible to ignore, but that's not the engineering story here. The story is the fender flare mounting architecture itself. These flares are not bolted on top of the standard body. They are integrated at the structural attachment points, meaning the load path from the wheel to the cab passes through a flare that has to survive real lateral stress. That changes the sheet metal behind it entirely. Ram TRX uses bolt-on plastic. The F-150 Raptor R uses a composite extension. Neither is designed for structural integration at the factory. This is speculative tech. Number 1. Adaptive flare load management. Structural mounting plates at the B-pillar connection point allow microflex under lateral load, rather than transferring torsion directly to the cab. The engineering logic is that a wide-body truck corners differently than a standard body. Side forces are amplified by the extended track width. What it closes? The stress cracking failure mode that kills aftermarket wide-body conversions after 30,000 miles of real-world use. Step inside, because the cabin tells a very different story about how far Chevy was willing to take this brief. The seats are covered in Cognac saddle tan leather, full perforated face, hexagonal quilted bolsters, Chevy bow tie embossed directly into the headrests. The closest comparison at this price point is Ram 1500 Limited's Continental Seal leather, and the ZRX Ultimate matches it in surface quality, maybe beats it in stitching consistency along the bolster seam. The physical climate control layout, dual rotary knobs with backlit rings, row of dedicated buttons below the infotainment screen, is correct for this truck's target driver. A 55-year-old contractor does not want a touchscreen submenu for the seat heater on a job site in January. Ram's 1500 Limited moved those controls behind a screen 2 years ago. That was the wrong call for this buyer. Speculative tech number 2. Thermal zone retention. The dual-zone climate system pairs with seat thermal memory, recalling each driver's preferred temperature profile from a saved key fob profile. The engineering reasoning is that a truck used for work in the morning and passenger duty on the weekend has 2 distinct climate use cases in one vehicle. What it solves, the dead cold interior problem, happens when a second driver resets the cabin temp and the first driver climbs back in. Missed the mark. The infotainment screen runs landscape only in the images. There's no portrait mode for map navigation, which is the one thing a driver actually needs to see at a glance in a tall riding truck. Ram 1500 Limited handles this with a rotatable screen. Chevy hasn't solved it here. The exterior section is where the origin story of this program becomes completely clear. Here's what I know about where this truck actually came from. The ZR2 Ultimate program reportedly started as a direct competitive response brief triggered by one event, the F-150 Raptor R hitting 700 horsepower in 2023 and Ford marketing it directly at Silverado conquest buyers. Chevy's product intelligence group tracked Raptor R cross-shop data and found that 31% of ZR2 registrations that year came from former Raptor owners. The brief wasn't build a better off-road truck, it was build a truck the Raptor R buyer looks at and doesn't go back to Ford. That's a different mission entirely, and you're about to see exactly what that mission produced when you look at this exterior from the front bumper to the tailgate. Front to rear. The front bumper is a full replacement steel unit with an integrated recovery point and winch mount, functional under load, not a styling exercise. The fender flares are wide-body spec, fully black blacked out, adding approximately 3.5 inches per side to track width. The wheels are black multi-spoke alloys, estimated 20 to 22 inches, wrapped in aggressive mud-terrain tires running a tall sidewall for actual off-road compliance. The LED daytime running lights run in stacked horizontal bars across the face of the truck, full-width signature. The suspension sits approximately 4 to 5 inches above factory ride height, visible in the wheel arch gap and confirmed by the body-to-ground clearance in the side profile. The rear treatment is a full-width LED taillight bar spanning the tailgate, blacked-out rear bumper, and a Chevy bow tie badge at tailgate center. Clean, not busy. Every element here was load path driven. The flare architecture, the bumper replacement, the lift geometry. Not one of them is a styling decision wearing an engineering label. Now, what's under that power dome hood? Engine, 6.2-liter V8, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed automatic, 4-wheel drive with 2-speed transfer case. In real operating conditions, those numbers mean towing capacity in the 12,000-pound range and 0 to 60 in the mid-5-second bracket. Competitive, not dominant against the Raptor R's 700 horsepower. But the ZRX isn't chasing peak dyno numbers. It's chasing usable capability across a wider range of real-world conditions. Speculative tech number 3, predictive terrain load balancing. The system reads throttle position, suspension travel sensors, and GPS grade data simultaneously to pre-position torque split before wheel slip occurs. The specific gap it closes is the Raptor R's moment of hesitation at low-speed rock crawling, where Ford's system reacts to slip rather than anticipating it. What it eliminates, the correction cycle, the half-second where the truck recovers instead of continuing to move. Against the Raptor R, the ZRX closes the gap on low-speed terrain capability and surpasses it on towing integration. Against the Ram TRX, the ZRX gives up roughly 280 horsepower, but returns better real-world fuel economy and lower insurance classification cost. The engineering case is complete. The financial case is what decides whether this is your truck.
Now, here's what I actually think. Completely straightforward. Chevy started this program because of a Ford Raptor R cross-shop problem. And if you trace that brief through every decision in this truck, the structural wide-body flare architecture, the predictive terrain system closing the Raptor R's crawl gap, the physical climate controls aimed at a buyer who uses this for work, the 6.2-liter V8 tuned for usable torque rather than peak power, it all reads as one coherent answer to one specific competitor. The unresolved question is whether the buyer that brief was written for actually values those specific capabilities, or whether they would trade every engineering detail for 280 more horsepower and the name Raptor R on the door. I'm not going to answer that for you, but you'll need to answer it for yourself before this verdict lands.
This configuration prices into the $72,000 to $78,000 range, depending on options. Compare that against the Ford F-150 Raptor R at $82,000 to $87,000, which delivers more peak horsepower, more brand recognition in the off-road segment, and a longer proven track record in competition environments. The Silverado ZRX 1500 in standard trim starts around $58,000. The Ultimate package adds roughly $15,000 to $18,000 in structural and technology differentiation, not cosmetic upgrades, mechanical ones. Here's the financial argument for the long hold. Factory-differentiated configurations, structural widebody, integrated suspension lift, OEM powertrain warranty intact, hold residual value in a way that aftermarket equivalents do not. A lifted, flared Silverado built at the dealership level depreciates as a modified vehicle. This one doesn't. For the buyer planning 4 to 5 years and a trade-in, that OEM factory designation is worth real money on the back end, likely $6,000 to $9,000 better residual at year 4 versus a comparably built aftermarket conversion. If you're putting this truck to work, towing, terrain, real hauling, this is the better engineered package in its price bracket. If peak horsepower is the primary metric and the Raptor R badge matters to you, Ford gives you 280 more horsepower and a decade of Raptor performance heritage at a $10,000 premium. What earns this truck its price is not displacement and not peak power. It's the coherence of the package, every hardware decision pointing at the same mission at the factory level with a warranty behind it.
That gunmetal wide-body stance we opened with, now you know it's not styling. It's a structural answer to a competitive brief that started with Ford Raptor R cross-shop data and ended with a truck built to close every specific gap Chevy's own buyers were walking across the lot for. I genuinely love your perspective on this one. If you've owned a Raptor R or put real miles on a TRX, was the horsepower the thing that kept you there, or was it something else entirely? $72K for this wide-body ZRX Ultimate or $82K for the Raptor R? Drop your call below. Next video, we're putting the ZRX Ultimate head-to-head against the Ram TRX on the specs that actually matter off the dealership lot. Subscribe so you don't miss it.